The first time I ever went to court, I literally stood in shit, like at the court. I don't know if it was human poo.
Outside the
outside the court.
Because
Yeah.
I say if it's inside the courtrooms, then South Africa needs a little bit of a reality check. Welcome to a new episode of Just the Radio. Got a guest that can sort anyone's relationship out, but it's almost the opposite of Dr. Phil. He helps people get back together. She helps people separate.
Yeah.
The divorce chick, Jen. Thank you so much for coming through.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I like the new cap.
Thank you.
The new merch. I
Yeah.
actually just saw you posted that.
Yeah, so I started to get to a point where, like, I've been working with a lot of business coaches, and they were like, you need to become your brand and all of that. And I was like, yeah. And I think what you probably know, when you start a brand, it's very, very difficult to immerse yourself in it, right? And when I branded myself as a divorce chick, now everyone calls me the divorce chick, and I'm like, oh, it must be working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is cool, but obviously I don't promote divorce. I'm not like
Get divorced.
Yeah.
Give me money.
I'm not like as I like to say, like I'm not like an ambulance chaser. Like,
Yeah.
But what my message is very much that people can do divorce differently. Like, you don't have to destroy your life, and you don't have to make it an absolute mess. And yeah.
So you basically help people have as easy of a separation as possible, and like less friction.
Yeah.
And do you, obviously, I mean, it's in your experience, is it in terms of mistakes that people make in relationships that cause these divorces? In your experience, is it usually the male making the mistake?
So it's actually funny because so many people think that, like, because I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, and I'm pro like female rights. Like so I'm a full-time family like litigation attorney, and I did that for 6 years. And essentially, I am pro man and woman. Like, I'm pro human. Like, if you're focusing on the male or focusing on the female, both of them, like, takes two to tango. Do you know what I mean? So most of the time, I wouldn't say it is. So let's say the top 5 reasons of why people get divorced. First one would be people fight over parenting of children. For example, like, one parent has one style, another parent has another style. Some people fight over finances. Obviously, adultery comes into play. But I think people are starting to realize that sometimes if you're not happy, you get to leave. And that is my whole message. It's like, you're not happy in your marriage, right? And you get to leave, cool. But like, why do you want to leave and F everything up? Like, and that's what I try to show people, that, and I focus on the human. So I have my own like online courses where it's like, my whole point is heal the human, stop the cycle.
Do you want to explain those courses? If anyone's interested in them?
Of course. So that's and I kind of wanted to make this podcast very light because, like, everyone thinks that being an attorney, it's so glamorous. like when I did law, everyone's like, oh, you like must have a glamorous job. I'm like, no. The first time I ever went to court, I literally stood in shit, like at the court. I don't know if it was human poo. Outside the court.
Because I say if it's inside the courtrooms, then South Africa needs a little bit of a reality check.
Yeah, like, well, you have to take your own toilet paper because there's no toilet paper. So like when it comes to law, it's obviously I haven't been divorced personally, but I've gone through so many divorces with my clients that I genuinely feel like I've been divorced. I know everything about relationships. Like, I made a funny reel the other day on my Instagram where it was like, I give the best relationship advice, but I don't take it myself, right? Because I've seen how people mess up. But yeah, it's like, so I call myself an adaptive attorney. Like, I still give legal advice. I still tell people what to do legally, but I like to do it differently. People go to attorneys and they think that they're just going to wave their magic wand and fix your problems. I wish I could fix your problems, but it's up to you to, like, I give people tools and then they use those tools to, like, fix their own things. Like, I even say I'm not Bob the Builder. Like, I can't fix your F up that you've done.
Yeah.
I wish I could. Like, many attorneys get a lot of flack for it, but it's because attorneys sell time. They don't really sell results. So yeah, I spend most of my time fighting with attorneys. Like I always say, like, the dumbest ones are the most confident. So like it's, yeah.
Well, there's a saying, it was it was something like clever people learn from others, whatever it was, but dumb people already know it all.
100%.
And I don't know the exact expression or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but dumb people and people, they super confident and really, they have great self-belief. But at the end of the day, what they believe in, what they actually can provide isn't the same thing.
It kills me fighting with a, and I don't like to call people dumb, but some people are dumb.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Morons.
Like I literally will be fighting with an attorney they'll be like, yeah, but I'm acting on instruction. I'm like, okay, so if your client says jump off a building or you're acting on instruction, like do better. Do you know what I mean? Like you're dealing with people's lives. I can't handle attorneys that will, say, for example, be specialists in property law and then take on a divorce case. Like you're dealing with little humans, you're dealing with kids. And as much as I obviously show this powerful space in my legal realm that I'm a really, really soft human being, and I really do give a shit about people. I don't like seeing people in pain. I don't like seeing people suffer unnecessarily. So I know that I can use my voice and I can use the power that I have in divorce to make that change. Will it happen overnight? No. I know that I'm kind of planting a seed and telling people water it so we can get to a place of change. But yeah, it hasn't been an easy road, and I'm sure you know, starting your own business, and I left law in 2019 full time. I was running my own department, my law firm, and I just want it better. And having your own business, it's really freaking hard. Some days you wake up and you're just okay, you're on that hamster wheel, and you know that you're going to make change, and you're going to get to where you need to be. But not every day is easy, and people think that it is.
Yeah. So 2019, that's when you basically went your own route. What initially got you into law?
Well, initially, so I actually wanted to be a vet. I love animals, but when I see blood, I basically KO. I can't handle blood. I cut my finger the other day, and I was like, I can't. It just kills me. And I'm glad that I didn't become a vet, because I'd probably just be crying all the time. I watched a dog documentary and I'm finished.
Humans can die,
Yeah.
but not animals.
Not animals. So I get so emotional. But I've always had this weird sense of justice. I'm the person that if someone's rude to a waiter, I'm watch your mouth, with kindness. I don't like being ugly to people, but I've always had that sense of justice where I don't like seeing someone unnecessarily suffer. And I think just growing up like that. And then I studied law, and trust me, it wasn't easy. Every year I'd phone my dad and go, I'm giving up. I don't want to do this. And he's like, one more year. And then he would bribe me. He's like, you can go on holiday. He had to bribe me. I was the worst student. And then I don't know, I just kept going. And I always said to myself, if I ever stop enjoying law, I'll leave. And I don't know why I used to say it, because I used to love litigation, because I was in litigation where you go to court and all of that. And I just started to realize that the legal system, it's not the legal system that I think is broken. I think broken people are trying to rely on a system and mold it when they aren't willing to even fix themselves. So that's why I got that whole concept of focus on the human before the problem.
So then obviously, people deserve what they deserve. And is that why you got into divorce? Is it so that you could fight for almost the little guy, or what was the reason behind it?
I don't know. I think it's always weird. I don't know if you can resonate with this, but it's sometimes there's no logical reason. It's just something within you, right? If you ever had that burning desire sensation where you I want to make change, or I want to make an impact, but you've never really known why. So my mom once went to a psychic years ago, and the psychic said, you're going to have a child and she's going to be on a stage. And my dad would always laugh. He'd be like, yeah, you're going to be a clown. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be on the stage being a clown. But that is my vision now, to be a speaker, to create that space where I can speak to people about going on a divorce, give them legal advice, but also the tools on the journey, right? Because the legality is only one thing. There's so much more.
So in terms of divorces, and obviously, like, you get people that will defend a criminal.
Yeah.
Are you like, in terms of, if a client comes to you and they say, okay, well, this is the situation I have going on with my husband, my wife, my spouse, whatever, and you can see that your client is going to be the one that's in the wrong and the one that will be less deserving of X, Y, and Z. How do you approach that with them?
Do you want to know how I used to or how I do now?
Both.
So how I used to, so when you're in a law firm that is a prestigious law firm, so I was at Schindler's Attorneys, the one that legalized cannabis and on that whole cannabis journey, and I was always told to be a robot, right? The client says this, and like I used to get in so much trouble because I would go, no, like I'm not willing to make someone that is already in pain and wants to inflict more pain. I'm not going to be, and I called myself a soldier in lawfare, right? Like I became a soldier in that space. I don't want to be that person anymore. So obviously when you're more junior, you have people above you and you're told what to do and you do it. But I would make subtleties sometimes with my clients. I'd be like, but don't you think this is better? Like I had one client that he had to pay his wife money every month because like if he left her, she would have been destitute. And I would say to him, just like give her $5,000 for the week. Like just kind of be kind or whatever. And he would say to me, you're supposed to be on my side. And I was like, but if you're treating me like crap and I'm on your side, I can't even imagine how badly you're treating someone else. So now with my clients, like I won't deal with people that don't have the same value system as me at all, right? Like I won't, or if I can see that I can guide them, then I will. And the first thing I ask my clients for is trust. I'm like, if you trust me, we've got everything. I don't think that attorneys should spend their time making people more bitter and worse off, right? That's just my mentality. Some people might disagree with me, but that's not my journey. So, yeah. I've told the client to F off before. Wasn't great. But I don't like seeing people treat their kids and family like crap. Like, it's not necessary. So, yeah.
In terms of custody now, because I think everyone just assumes the lady and the mom is going to keep the kids. How does it work in terms of if she, is it only if she's almost mentally unstable or she's been involved in drugs and illegal activities that the kids won't go to her and they'll go to the father, or how would that work?
So I'll actually explain to you. So now we call it a concept called primary residence, right? So I'm actually a father's rights activist. So when I say activist, it's not like I'm on the streets with like placards and stuff, but I believe that fathers in South Africa aren't afforded the same rights as mothers. As an unmarried father, you don't get automatic rights to your child. You have to tick boxes, and it allows a space of alienation where a woman can take a child away from a father. And also, I had a matter where I had one of the best fathers. He literally he changed his whole business dynamic to go and work at his ex's house so he could see his kid, because she said, if you take the kid out of this house, it's kidnapping. And she slowly alienated, and for about a year, she tried to move overseas and take the child away from him. We fought, we won every single court battle. And like, I'm not going to burst out crying, but I get very emotional when I speak about this, because it literally was one of those things where it just like broke my heart. And one day we woke up and we were going to go to court, and he had just literally gotten a report saying that he could share. So imagine like not being able to see your kid, not even like letting your kid sleep over at your house, and now getting a report where literally the psychologist says that you now get to share your child 2 weeks, right? Like in the month. We're in court and she doesn't appear. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? And she went and got a fake passport and she skipped the country. I swear to God, my heart dropped. I literally called the chief of the family advocate and I was like, this is her passport number. I need you to track her. And
obviously with the kid.
Yeah, with the kid. She abducted the child. If anyone, so Paul is like one of my like closest to my heart. I told him the day that he gets Nikki back, I literally will sit with him and tell Nikki how much he fought for him. But what happened is that she had an attorney, and I'll never ever mention names, but she had an attorney that I know definitely advised her to do what she did. So she laid fake charges against him of abuse. So if she did skip the country and Paul would try apply to get the child back here, they wouldn't send the child back here because of those fake abuse charges.
And those abuse charges would just be her word against his, and then she'd have the better say.
So if anyone wants to look up the matter, his name's Paul Mulder, and it's on my socials and everything. And he actually got arrested for a full weekend. And in the affidavit, and I've spoken about this before, and I've literally been threatened on YouTube. Like some Russian chick was like, "You're lying, this." I was like, cool. Like I literally dealt with that matter for a year, and I was in court, and we won every single application. And she said in the affidavit that he possessed an illegal firearm. You need to know that if you write that in something, they will keep you in custody and go search the house and all of that. No one writes an illegal firearm like in that, especially like I don't even think he's ever touched a gun in his life. He hasn't seen his child, I think, in 3 or 4 years, right? He spent probably over 3 million rand just trying to get him back in the Hague Convention. And the problem comes is that if let's say he came to see me now, before the alienation set in, I would have said, I don't care, you're going to go and fetch Nikki, and if she goes to the police, then she goes to the police. Like, I killed myself so much with that matter because I was like, maybe I should have been stronger. Maybe I should have told him to do this. But I didn't know better. I was a junior. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's why now when I deal with fathers, and I just saw one of the fathers called me now, I say, the law might not see you as having the same amount of rights, but go and fetch your kid. And if she denies access to you, call me. Like, because a child deserves a good father and a mother, like, unless obviously there's drug abuse and all of that. But in terms of your question with the mother, that is the standard. But in South Africa, there's a concept called shared primary residence, where sometimes a child will live 1 week, or primary residence in contact. It's not custody in the sense of I have the kids and you don't see them. It's like, the kids live with me, but they see you on weekends, one day here and there, like parenting plans and that kind of concept. But yeah, people, they use the kids as pawns. But
yeah, in terms of the fighting for the kids, at what point do you say to the parents, you know what, this is going to tear your family apart way more than, it's going to bring your daughter, your son happiness by seeing you, rather... Yeah. Agree to X and Y instead of fighting tooth and nail and actually doing more damage to the kid.
Yeah. So that's like you giving that example already. I've got 2 people that I can speak to, right? Like that's a win for me because I have and this isn't me tooting my own horn, but I have a gift with people like that. I get to use the way that I communicate to like plant a seed in their minds. Like when she or he gets married, do you guys want to be at the wedding? Because people, they see now. They don't see the future. They don't see the destruction that they can cause. I say to them, this is what can happen. And I give them stories and narratives of what I've seen. And sometimes it scares them. But also sometimes it's out of my power. Sometimes I have to get a psychologist involved. I have to get a social worker involved. And also, I also know my limits. I can't say what's good for a child that I've never met. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can think that my client's the best father, but if the child, let's say, is wetting their pants at the father's house, I can't deal with that. I have to send it to a social worker. But I've always said, a kid is never, ever going to care whether a parent sees them on Christmas in the morning or the afternoon. A kid's going to care if they see mom and dad are happy. A lot of parents don't get that because they're unhappy. They're in an anxious state. And that's exactly why I did create that course, and I'll tell you about it, where it shows people that they get to heal themselves and then deal with their matter or go through that process. And I called it divorce, sugar, or salt because that's what I believe attorneys offer. They offer you sugar, the good, salt, the bad, but sugar and salt look the frickin' same until you have to taste it. And who tastes it? The client. So yeah, people are in pain, like, and divorce is on the rise. Hey, like I'm 31, and I think I've actively avoided my first divorce. To be honest, like all my friends are already divorced. Like,
what are the divorce numbers? Like 1 in every how many
I did
Is
a
South
blog
Africa
on it.
different to America? I assume America's probably more.
So I did a blog on it, so I'm an attorney, I'm not good with numbers, but it was like marriage has decreased. So a lot of people, obviously Corona as well, people aren't getting married as much, and divorces gone up 20%. And people say it's because of Corona, people were stuck with each other. Corona illuminated issues, right? Like if you had mental health issues, it would have illuminated it. If you had issues in your marriage, it would have illuminated it. It was like an illuminator that took a little problem and it just made it huge. But yeah, I just want to show people divorce isn't like, it's really not bad. Like if you are unhappy in your job, would you leave or would you stay there and bitch it? Okay, some people do, bitch and moan about it, or would you make a move?
Has there come a time where people come to you and they say they want a divorce, they want to have a divorce with their partner, and you look at the situation and you say to them, you know what, you could actually make this work. It's not that bad. Or like...
Yeah. No, I do. So sometimes people like... I'm going to share some funny stories with you. Like I remember once I had a client, like I used to say, okay, like, because I like to understand a person's brain, right? And what they're feeling. Because if you understand what a person values and their beliefs, it makes it easier for you to deal with them. And I said to him, like, what is the worst thing that drives you mad about, like, your wife? And he's like, she picks her toenails. I was like, okay.
I would divorce her instantly.
You know me as well. I freaking hate feet. I'm like, done. Let's go to court. No, I even said, I was like, okay, but can you get over that? He's like, it just drives me insane. I could see him. He was like getting so angry. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but like, surely it's more. And he was like, yes, this and this and this. And what I established is that he actually didn't feel loved by her. She would work a lot. But focusing on someone picking their toenails is a lot easier than devaluing yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like saying, I'm not enough, or I don't feel like she loves me, or anything like that.
Yeah, that realization where she would choose work over him.
Exactly. So I dug deep, and then he was like, and he actually started working on himself. And he went to therapy, and they're still together because it was never about her. And that's what I try to show people, is that you can get a divorce and you can still be the most miserable person in the world, right? Because it's really not about another person sometimes. Like sometimes it's you, and sometimes you're in a bad space.
Yeah. Well, I know personally, and I had to go through the stage because my fiance, she just started a new career path where she is working in... basically the hospitality, where she is working as a field guide in Sabi, which is like 6-7 hours away. And she went into this knowing that she's going to be away for 6 weeks, home for 2 weeks, away for 6 weeks, home for 2 weeks. And it was difficult for me seeing that how she would prefer to put, you know, her career above our relationship, because long distance relationships seldom work. But then I kind of came to that realization where I was like, she also has that much faith in our relationship that she knows that this distance, regardless of her chasing her career, it's not her putting her career and her chasing a passion ahead of me. It's putting the faith in her relationship that allows her to be able to chase this career.
Of course. And just what you said there is that, I sometimes am very hard on myself, my friends and my clients, where I go, like, it's not about you all the time. And in a relationship, you should never, like, two people should be, and this is where I start, like, I give great relationship advice. Like, do I take it? No. Is it fine? Yeah.
Have you put yourself in the position where you're able to take your own advice?
Can I tell you the problem is that I do take my own advice, but it's very, very easy to observe something and what?
I think that was my phone. Siri is just talking to us.
Oh,
carry on.
So I think it's when I say I don't take it myself, is that I was always was very so I would manage my personal life like I manage my professional life, which I don't think was really, really good. But coming back to what you said is that it wasn't really a choice. And I think, let's say, for example, we want to be supported when we do things, right? Like, we want to get into a position where, like, imagine you say to her, you're choosing your career over us. If someone had to say that to me, I would go, now I feel like I have to choose. And let's be honest, if someone is saying, choose, like if someone comes to me and goes, you need to choose me or that other thing, I'll probably choose the other thing, because now I've been put in a position where I don't think that you're valuing me. And if I don't value me, I'm never going to be able to make you happy. And I actually just got out of a relationship now. It was also long distance, but we started dating long distance, and the relationship broke down because, and I'll own it, like, it was my fault. I couldn't manage working and speaking to him, and he got irritated with it. And then sometimes things aren't forever, but they're there to teach you lessons. But it's you supporting her on this journey. I promise you, she will, like, coming from a woman, she will never, ever, ever forget that, because we all want support, and you both are there to support each other.
And it's also, I know that she has supported me in whatever I've wanted to do. Obviously,
Exactly.
at a different level, because she's been with me to support me. And I had to put myself out there saying, you know what, Jesse, you also need to have as much value or see as much value in the relationship, in terms of that you're not scared that a little bit of distance can get between you guys. You need to be, so secure in the relationship that, yes, you don't know what she's doing during the day, because obviously she's too busy to be on her phone because she's helping guests, she's on a game drive, that kind of stuff. You need to be secure in the relationship that at the end of the day, when you're able to talk, you can talk about your day, and you know that she was faithful, she'll know I was faithful, you'll know that regardless of anything that happened in the day, like, she would actually choose to be with you rather.
100%.
It's that. And also, she had told me that she'd been in relationships in the past that weren't supportive. And I have had times in my life, as everyone does, where selfishly you're not as supportive as you should be.
No, of course.
And that's also me trying to do right by her because she deserves it, so that I do need to be supportive. And I'm also the type of person that wants people to follow their dreams.
Of course.
Regardless of the difficulty. Because, it's difficult for her. She's got a niece where her niece is 5 years old.
Yeah.
She's missing out on a ton of that girl's life while she's growing up.
Of course.
She's
making
missing out.
sacrifices.
Exactly. There's
yeah.
tons of sacrifices she's making to follow her passion. It's not just that she's selfishly going there and doing it. There's a lot of sacrifices that she is making so that she can go for this dream.
It shows, when you tell me about it, it shows a lot of, also, and this is what I realized in my own life, you have your whole lives together, right? Like, it's you're engaged, you're going to get married and all of that. A little bit of distance to grow. And you know what the thing is, though? Like, whatever happens, and you don't have control over that. So you can either, when she's gone, worry about her lying or not speaking to you or whatever, or you can focus on yourself and hold space. I call it holding space. You literally hold space for each other, where she is doing what she loves, you're doing what you love, and then you come together, because a relationship is actually 3 people, to be honest. Like, if you're not happy, and I know that's why my relationship right now failed, is because I was in, have you ever been in that situation? I don't know about your relationship history, but where you're like, is that a red flag or is that a trigger? Like, is that a red flag or is that a trigger? Because I'd been in really shitty relationships before, I couldn't tell when I was feeling unsettled or choosing my career, because let's be honest, when you put it into your career, you get exactly back. When you put it into a person, you don't know if you're going to get it back or not, and that's what freaked me out. Do I need to work on myself? 100%. I do it every single day. I learn from my clients, as I'm sure you do with your clients. Like, it's that, like, connecting energy. But, like, I think when it comes to relationships, is that we put our happiness in someone else's hands. And what if they drop it, right? Like, it's
Never put your key to happiness in someone else's pocket.
100%. And I did for so long, until I put it in someone's pocket and that person literally destroyed everything around me. But I destroyed everything around me. But now I have to find the fine line between allowing someone to be, like, have my key, but also not relying on them. I think that is the very, very hard, because then I became very, very connected or very independent. And I think it's very, very tough for a male to date a female that's extremely, like, I once rode over myself with my own car. Like, I literally pushed my car and it rolled over me because I didn't ask for help. Like, it's retarded.
Were you on a downhill? You quickly ran it. You inside the car, put down the handbrake, quickly ran out, stand behind the car, and just get flattened.
It's similar to that, but not as bad. So my car battery died, and I phoned my dad, and he was like, just I don't even know why he said this to me. Like, he should know better. Like, I love how I'm blaming him now. He's like, just get the car battery out for me. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Cool. Couldn't open the bonnet. So I'm like, let me just push the car a little bit. Obviously, I didn't think of gravity. And I pushed it and it started rolling, and I tried to run to my car door and open it, and then the car door, it started going skew, and the car, like, literally I got dragged across the thing and it ran over my foot. I was in a moon boot for 9 months. I had to go to job interviews with the moon boots, and they're like, what happened? I'm like, can't tell you.
It's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, like, but what I was saying is that I never asked for help, and I've started to learn that I have to. And I think in relationships, even friendships and all of that, you have to ask for help. But like, when do you get to a point where you ask for help and you allow that person, because like, love is a point where it's like you give someone the power to destroy you, but you just freaking hope and pray that they don't. Yeah. So yeah, like in divorces, people are in pain. People are in pain in marriages. Like the healing aspect of the divorce space is how much pain is a person in their marriage where they have to think that they have to destroy the other person. But yeah, lots of people, some people want to just take everyone down. I used to think that being angry, I was like, oh, people that are angry are weak. The other day I bit a pen. I was so angry and I like chipped my tooth. Because I think when you keep things in for so long, you just erupt. And I want to be the person when people are erupting to be like, you got this. Like, you can not destroy everything.
Yeah. So you mentioned some crazy stories, some incredible cases that are quite entertaining. So ones you're allowed to share, obviously, without...
So I have... so I laugh about it because it's like... So obviously I've done a lot of matters. I started in law, I think I was like in my early 20s, like when I look back, and you're so naive, right? And you work, and as an attorney, like she's like, you work all the time. Like I would sleep in my office sometimes. And there was once a matter where I went to court, right? So when you're a clerk, so a clerk is like you're basically in training, you get thrown into the deep end and you have to learn how to swim. So I went to court and I was like, cool, I don't know what is going on, but I'm going to just like pretend like I do because my client's like sitting next to me. Obviously I knew what was going on, but also like it's your first time, you don't have anyone with you. I was like Googling.
You know what you studied, but you don't have the almost as much real world experience.
100%. So I didn't have a robe, right? So you have to wear a robe in court. And I didn't have a robe and I was like, oh my God. Like I was like shitting myself. I was like, I'm not going to be allowed in court. And my client's next to me and she's like talking and I'm just like worrying about this robe. So anyway, I'm like, shit, let me go ask like one of the advocates for a robe. Like, let me just go ask him. Going back, can I use your robe? He's like, with pleasure. Cool. Put on this robe. No, so I was holding the robe and then I put it on. So you robe in court, you have to bow. I put on the robe. And obviously he had been wearing it for a long period of time and it smelled so bad of sweat, right? Like, and honestly, like if I smell something bad, I'll vom. Like, so sitting there with my robe and I was just like,
and now his sweat is wearing you.
I can smell it. Now people think I smell, right? And I'm trying to get words out and I'm talking and I, like, you know, when you're going, I'm talking to me, there's a lot of shit, but I'm going to vomit. Like, and I'm either going to vomit, maybe, and then I'm like, maybe I should vomit because then I can just get rid of this matter. And it just got to a point where the magistrate was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think I have a stomach bug. And I just made up this whole thing. And I was so grateful that he gave me his robe. But like, imagine you're first, like you're prepared, you've studied for 6 years, you're freaking ready, you're like dressed up, and then you nearly die of sweat smell. Like that was a funny...
Did you end up winning the case?
So eventually, yes, there was about 10 other postponements because it was a maintenance matter. Like the wheels of justice turned really, really slowly.
There's nothing like Suits.
The thing is though, when people say like, do you have a job like Suits? I'm like, do you see them sitting by a laptop? If not, then no. Like Harvey Specter is like, no, turns his head. Attorneys are like crying 1 minute, then you're stressed, then you're printing, then the print is effing out, like it's a mess. But that's one story. And then there was another story where I was dealing with this advocate and he was so mean. Like he was, like
Wasn't the same one that you
Hey?
sweated all over you?
No.
Separate guy.
It was another one. The one that sweated basically all over me was actually really nice. He just was sweaty.
Okay.
And he was just just mean. And I don't really like to call, because I'm a bit of a tomboy, main chauvinist, but he was. He literally treated me like absolute dirt. And I was just like, okay. And the one day, I was thinking about it this morning, and I was actually having a good laugh because I thought I was so cool when I did this, but it just is actually immature and ridiculous. So we after the matter, I think he won, but we were also in a court that the court system wasn't really good. I'm sure someone paid someone, and it was a mess. And after he won, he came to my client and started talking to her, and I said, please don't, he started attacking her. And I was like, please don't do that. You're not allowed to do that with my clients or whatever. And he's like, oh, keep quiet, little pisher. You basically, I've got 10 years of experience over you. And I didn't know what else to say. And I literally looked at him and I was like, yeah, I can tell by the wrinkles on your face. And I walked out of court and I was like, yeah, that's so cool. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm such a fucking moron. Who would say that? But then it shut him up because he was either like, what a bitch, or he was like, what is she talking about? And then as I started to mature in my career, I started to realize the attorneys that are mean to you, you don't have to let it affect you. I've also had clients, their wives think that I'm sleeping with them. It's fascinating, if I have the time, to be honest.
You're just putting fuel to the fire to ensure that she becomes the ex-wife.
100%. Taking one for the team, definitely. I've been called a blonde bimbo before. I was like, thanks. I've been defamed on Facebook. They call me some dumb blonde. I'm just like, why are you picking on the blonde? Just leave us alone. So yeah, I've gone through a ride, and I think I don't take it personally, to be honest. If someone thinks I'm a dumb blonde, I'm like, cool, think that. Underestimate me, because then it means that I'm more prepared than you no matter what. So I don't take things personally. Unless it's personal, I'll get a bit upset, but then I'll carry on with my life.
Yeah. And the phrase, the name, divorce chick, was that because Legally Blonde was taken? Or
Yeah, Legally Blonde, that's when I tuned the guy for the wrinkles, and I was like, I need to level up. Actually, there is a story with a divorce chick, which is actually a great story, where I had a business called Impassion Transcend Yourself last year, and I was just going to do general legal stuff. And then I realized, I was like, I literally specialize in divorce. Why am I not owning it? And I was sitting with my friend in Cape Town, Candice Mama. She's also a speaker. She actually wrote a book called Forgiveness, where she met Eugene, was it de Kock? The man that murdered her father, and she basically chose to forgive him in apartheid and all of that. It's fascinating. And she was sitting, and I got my it's actually funny now because I'm having contact lenses issues today. Got my contact lens stuck in my eye, and I tried to get it out, and I ended up damaging my cornea. So we were sitting in Cape Town, and she was like, Jen, I see what you're doing, and you're doing great stuff, but you need a niche, and you need to call yourself something like the divorce chick. And my eye was lubricating, so bad. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I was like, Candice, I think I need to go to the hospital. I can't see, my eye's messed. And as she said the divorce chick, I was like, oh my God, I'd never call myself that. That's retarded. I'm going to find something cooler. And as time went on, I was like, fuck it, let me just do it. And I trademarked the name. And yeah, and because she said to me, she's like, you can be the divorce chick and not only do divorce, right? Because I don't only, I can speak about anything. I deal with humans every day. And then, yeah, now people call me the divorce chick, and I'm like, cool. Better than Legally Blonde, better than blonde bimbo, leveling up. So yeah.
And going forward, and obviously from becoming the divorce chick, have you seen great value in just finding an identity and obviously promoting your services and being more also of a personality on social media, not just pushing out stats on divorce rates and putting out stupid things that don't actually provide people value?
So as people get to know me, my friend, he calls me bozo. I don't honestly, in the legal framework, if I'm giving legal advice, I'm super professional, I'm super that, but I really do have a clown aspect to me. And I like to also I like to entertain people because like if I had to, I saw a thing the other day. It's going to sound quite bitchy of me, but it was a joke. It's banter. And it was a thing on a legal page where it was like Fun Fact Friday. And I gave like a fact and I sent it to my friend. I was like, oh my God, I just had so much fun reading this, like wild times. Because you have to do things differently. And I think that's what I'm trying to create in law. I'm trying to change the face of law. I'm trying to do things differently. Like you don't have to have posts where it's like, everything is completely professional and all of that. You can, like, if I see the human behind the law, I have to be the human before the law. So I like to show people that side. And I actually got a message from someone the other day. He's like, you make law fun. I'm like, thanks, but that post wasn't about law. I just like banged my head on the freaking visor in the car. But it's grabbing people's attention. It's making people believe, like, and trust you. Because if I can laugh at myself and still be serious and I have all these different aspects, because how I am in that space, I am in my personal space. I just never really showed it because as a lawyer, you get told you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And the right people will come towards me and the wrong people, just leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, that relatability sells in anything. If you look at, the social, let's just look at like Kevin Hart. People love Kevin Hart, not just only because of his movies. They love him because of the personality, his social media, being
Will
able
Smith as well.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to see what they do every day, being able to see the human side of them, their humanity, their issues, their struggles. That's what sells.
Yeah.
That's what brings people value and makes people more inclined to use your service, use your product, to watch your movies or whatever.
Like, to be honest, it's like when it comes to law, and have you ever been in a position where, like, when you start your business, and like, I've never been scared of failure, and I've just realized this. I've always been really scared of massive success, because when you become super successful and you start leaving behind the people that you were friends with because they don't really add value anymore, they'd like put you down or whatever, it's very scary to be different. And it's very scary to back yourself, and it's very scary to create a brand and put yourself out there. And like my one friend, Justin Cohen, he said to me, he's like, Jen, the one thing I admire about you is that you will post content all the time and you'll only get like 2 likes and you'll keep going. Like, you basically just tuned me and complimented me at the same time. I'm like, but I don't do it for likes. I do it because I give a shit.
Hey, if one of those people become a new client...
And you know what? And not everyone likes, eh? The people will read, and people will observe you and not clap for you. That's when I started clapping for myself. When I left my full-time job, none of my friends supported me. Not one. Strangers on Instagram and Facebook supported me more than my friends and family. No one gave a shit. And I'm not saying in a bad way. It's that you have to become your biggest fan.
So none of your friends got divorced to show you support?
Some did, but then I had to do it for free.
That's
so
true.
yeah. So it's basically, it's like, Jen, I'm getting a divorce, I back you, but can you do it for free? I'm like, sure. I'm just like Kippy over here.
Yeah.
I'll just do everything for free.
That is the thing, and I mean, everyone knows the saying where it's, if I have a friend who's a lawyer, I'll use him. If I have a friend who's an accountant, I'll use him. If I have a friend who's a doctor, I'll go visit them, but you pay the full price.
Yeah.
And obviously you can maybe give friends and family discount, but you ensure that you at least pay them for their time because you've studied many years to do this. You've worked many years to be the professional that you are.
100%.
You just because they're your friend doesn't exclude the amount of time that you're going to have to use, doesn't exclude the amount of other business you might have to turn away because you're focusing on their case, and you don't want to, not focus properly on their case because then you could make a mistake because you're not focusing on it properly. So there's a lot of things that you give up to help them.
So you know what the thing is, though, what I've started to realize, and I don't know if you've realized this yourself, I think as you get older, you start to learn, and I would always get so upset when people would take advantage of me, but I never set boundaries, right? I was like, you get stuff for free, I'm going to help you, like Oprah, like giving out cars, but I was just giving out like time and energy, and now I observe. Right? If someone comes to me and they want help with their divorce, if I have a friend that comes to me and asks me for advice and their expectation is that I will do it for free and there's no energy exchange, like exchange of like, you give me this or I'll give you this, I don't think that person values me anymore. But what I realized is that I probably didn't value myself when I was doing that. My value lay in other people's perception of me. So me doing that was like, I'm relevant, I'm needed. Now I have that value. So when I start saying no to people, and no is a full sentence. I used to go, no, but I'm busy, no. Now I'm just like, no. And people that give a shit about you will get that. And people that don't, you won't hear from. And I'm just like, cool. Whether you're in my life, if you're in my life, I value you and I care, and I will do anything for people in my life. But if you start to take more than you give, and there's no reciprocal exchange, yeah, it's not a loss for me, to be honest.
And I mean, especially something that, let's say, I'm helping you, but I'm losing out on 3,000 Rand an hour. You need to understand that, like, at the end of the month, I'm going to have 30,000 Rand less just because I helped you. Like, you need to understand that either I get something in return or you pay the price. You know, you pay the price of the ride. Admission is the same regardless of who the person is.
People don't value free stuff. And I'm the same. How many times have you joined, like, and I actually saw your post the other day, it made me laugh, where someone was like, do I have to pay for 10 grand? You're like, no, not at all. You don't have to pay at all. Like, I'm just going to give you 10 grand and I'm just going to make you a thing. And I found humor in that is because people, like, so I give away a lot of free stuff. Like, I love creating content that helps people. But it's a business thing, right? Like, it's a lead magnet. You come, you trust me.
You give a little bit so that it's like a tester.
100%.
A taste tester, and then they have to come back for the full meal.
A lot of people think just because you're an attorney and you say, like, I've had some people message me on Facebook, and, you know, that's why I'm trying to build what I'm trying to build. So when people do need help, when they don't have money, I have an organization that they can go to. Like, but I can't, I'm on Mother Trees, I can't help everyone. Like, 100%. And who's going to help with the talent, with what I'm create with, like, the youth as well, and employing them to, like, look at their talents and stuff. My voice and my message is not going to help anyone if I don't say no to people. I've served my time. I've done so much pro bono work. Now, when people come to me, they need to value that. And I read something the other day. It was actually fascinating. Was like, Apple, the first Apple was, I think, $499 or something like that. We're now on iPhone 12, which is $699. Value yourself in the beginning, right? So it only went up like $200. But if you value yourself in the beginning, you always have that value, right? Like, it's not like, obviously Apple became more valuable, but they charged those exorbitant prices in the beginning because they knew what they were worth. Do I hate turning people away? Of course. But I don't get to stand in the way of people's lessons. Sometimes I know I can solve a problem, but if they don't work hard and make money and have access to me, I don't value myself. And I've been doing this for like 11 years. It's a long time to be doing something. And people take advantage of free shit.
Yeah. So your courses and stuff that you have open to the public, what is that and who can benefit from these courses?
So it's actually... It's called Divorce Sugar Salt, and it's an 8-week online program, right? So I started to think to myself, yes, I'm a lawyer, but the tools that I've learned in the space of healing and the human and dealing with people and connecting with people is beyond the law. So I created this 8-week program where literally you can buy it on my website, and it's 8 weeks, and it's an actual online course. You get a PDF document and I start from the beginning. I see it as a journey in divorce. So it's like connecting with yourself. Are you unhappy with yourself, or are you unhappy with your partner? Are you living, like, it's kind of getting into the human for them to dig deep. And it's 8 weeks, and I've had a few people do it, and they said it literally changed their life. Like, it makes you realize that anger is not the solution. You get to flow. You get to block out noise. It's kind of like having a therapist and a self-help book on your journey with you.
So it's not just people looking to get divorced.
So it's on divorce, but because that is I call it my superpower, that's my niche. But if you're going through a breakup, it's I actually wrote it and created it and healed myself through my breakup. So it's for people going through breakups, even businesses, like when you break up a business or whatever, obviously I'm going to start creating it in a more dynamic way. But when you're creating a brand, it has to be quite niche. But anyone that's going through, I like to call it anyone that's going through pain, because it's actually about healing pain. So yeah.
Okay. And I'll put the link and everything in the description so people can go check that out. Jen, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And if anyone hates their partner or anyone really just wants to get rid of that person that you have to wake up to every day, contact Jen, the divorce chick. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jess.
And thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.